可以听到吗？可以听到吗
可以，你讲是可
？OK
以。
OK OK. Good evening, Master. Good evening, dear adult brothers and sisters. Before the sharing, I would like to express my deepest appreciation for the grace of heaven, virtues of our holy teachers, and blessings of Grand Senior 白水圣地 and Senior Elder, the Never-Resting Bodhisattva, and for all the Tao transmitting masters, lectures, guidance, and especially all of you, that I can have this chance to share with you the topic, the new era. As for question and answer on Tao cultivation in the new era. Okay, so regarding the new era, as for what the new era truly means, we must first discuss the descent and transmission of Tao. The descent and transmitting of Tao is divided into three periods. The first period is the Green Yang era from 4500 BCE to 1000 BCE. And the second era is the Red Yang era from 1000 BCE to 1900 CE. And then is the White Yang era from 1900 CE until now. The Green Yang era, the Tao resided with kings and ministers, where one enlightened ruler transformed the entire world. And then the Red Yang era, the Tao resided with sages and scholars, where one enlightened teacher transformed a region. People cultivated first and received Tao later. In the White Yang era, the Tao descends into the family. Tao is propagated universally. That means everyone has the chance to receive Tao. People now receive Tao first, then cultivate. Okay? So the era we are living in now is precisely the White Yang era. Therefore, the new era is the White Yang era. Okay? In the White Yang era, the great Tao is universally spread. Everyone has the opportunity to receive Tao. After receiving Tao, one then begins to cultivate Tao. Tao cultivation is no longer confined to remote mountains, temples, or monasteries. It is practiced at home, in daily life, and even at work. It is not easy to cultivate Tao because there are many challenges and tests. That is why we especially need the compassionate guidance of the enlightened saints and Buddhas. Modern people often encounter many difficulties and doubts in their Tao cultivation. There are more questions that need to be answered, and the enlightened saints and Buddhas compassionately provide corresponding answers. So, questions and answers on Tao cultivation in the new era. Actually, it is a book published by Guanghui Cultural Corporation. Guanghui Cultural Corporation was founded by our senior elder, the Never-Resting Bodhisattva, and it is the cultural enterprise of our Far EraⅡ, the Tao Society. Let's take a look at the reason why Guanghui produced this book, okay? Guanghui Cultural Corporation, in its mission to promote the sacred wisdom of the sage and Buddhas, commissioned the Department of Literature at the Talents Institute of Taipei Tao Society to compile and organize the insightful question and answer teachings from the plain spoken revelations of the sages and Buddhas. The result is the book, Questions and Answers on Dao Cultivation in the New Era. The book is divided into 4 thematic sections. The first one is explanation of Dao. And the second part is on resolving doubts. And third part is on cultivation and propagation. And fourth part on enlightenment and practice. With a total of 87 questions and answers. And our Dao Affairs Center has incorporated the content of this book into the 5-year Dao Studies program. It's taught in 2 sections, one for the Xinming class and one for the EraⅡ class, with each session covering 20 selected questions. And today we are going to talk about the 20 questions for the EraⅡ class. And the contents for the EraⅡ class is, the first question is, what is true happiness? Second, why should we adopt a vegetarian diet? Does being vegetarian eliminate all karmic debts? And third one, how can one develop their inner potential? And number 4, what does it mean to find stillness in motion? Number 5, the great Tao is nameless. Why is it nameless? Number 6, what is the purpose of Tao propagation? How can we learn to let go? Number 7, what is the source of motivation for Tao cultivation? Number 8, what are the 5 prescriptions for regulating the mind? And number 9, how to transform consciousness into wisdom through cultivation. And number 10, how should we respond to the phenomenon of the flourishing of myriad religions? And number 11, what is 觉悟, awakening? How does one awaken? Number 12, what is 观止, observation and stillness? How do we achieve 止, to achieve the stillness? Number 13, what does it mean to see one's true nature? After realizing it, how can we help others attain fulfillment? Number 14, what is merit and virtue? And number 15, what is 真人静坐, true meditation? Number 16, what is 禅, Zen? Number 17, what does it mean to be 无所住, free from attachment? Number 18, how can we cultivate the heart of and refine our nature? Number 19, what is 一行三昧, single practice samadhi? Number 20, how can we establish an everlasting spiritual missions? Okay, let's move to the first question, okay? The first question is, what is true happiness? Let's see how the Buddha responds, okay? The answer from Buddha is, some say that happiness is about completing today's task today. But have you fulfilled your mission in life? Some might think that doing what they enjoy brings happiness. In reality, doing what you should do is true happiness. Some people say happiness is just about living for today, doing what you like, and enjoying the moment. But is that really true happiness? Many people think happiness comes from doing what they love. However, true happiness comes not from doing what you like, but from doing what you ought to do. That is fulfilling your mission and responsibilities in life. That's where real inner peace and satisfaction arise. The new generation nowadays is too focused on superficial pleasures. Happiness isn't just the mood you see on the surface. A feeling happy mood is what we call false happiness. False happiness disappears quickly. Your current happiness, perhaps from someone praising you, will vanish soon because someone else might criticize you. So this happiness is fake. It changes with the others' every move and word. This isn't true happiness. True happiness is constant and unchanged, right? Modern people are often too focused on entertainment and instant gratification. But such happiness is temporary. It fades quickly. If your joy depends on praise from others, it will disappear the moment someone criticizes you. That kind of joy is unstable and easily shaken. It's what we call false happiness because it changes with external conditions. How many selves do we have? Is it two? The true self and the false self? Regarding this point, let me ask you a question. How do you wake up every morning? Is it the coffee, of the smell of coffee wake you up? Or did your good friend wake you up? Or your family wakes you up? Or your alarm clock wakes you up? Where is this? Where is this? It's hospital morgue. If you set your alarm clock to its loudest and put it in a hospital morgue, then let it ring. Do you think the people lying there would wake up? No, right? Why? Because souls, or we call it spirit, because their souls have already left their bodies. So a person's body with the spirit, that means when this physical body has a soul, it's a living, vibrant person, right? But when the physical body no longer has a soul, it's just a corpse lying in the morgue, right? So, which is real self? Body is false self, it's not real, because it will disappear. Spirit is true self, okay? So the Buddha says, how many selves do you have? Isn't it two? The true self and the false self? The false self will eventually vanish. Even if a person lives to be 100-year-old person. Anyway, this physical body will ultimately disappear. The only thing that does not fade or change is our spiritual essence, right? So real happiness is different. It's unchanging and lasting. It comes from within, from your spiritual self. Ask yourself, how many selves do you have? The physical self, the false self is temporal. No matter how long you live, your body will eventually disappear, but your true self, your spirit, is eternal and unchanging. Right? The body weight can fluctuate, gaining or losing. Nowadays, people have plenty to eat, and indulge without restraint. All kinds of delicacy enter the stomach. But afterward comes the regret. How do I feel heavier day by day? Why do I have to be more and more mindful of my health every day? No matter how much effort is made to maintain balance, the weight still increases. That's why some people try to lose weight. But this body that changes and fluctuates is not the true self. It is the false self. And the happiness that rises and falls is false happiness. It is not 100% pure or lasting joy. Anything that increase or decrease is not eternal. If it's not eternal, then it is not the Tao. Take the example of body weight. People overeat, enjoy rich foods, and only regret it afterward. You may try to maintain your body, but it keeps changing. That's because it's not your true self. Just like your body fluctuates, so does the happiness tied to it. Anything that comes and goes cannot be considered true happiness because it lacks permanence. And what is not lasting is not in line with Tao. Okay? So don't you say that society is full of darkness? That's exactly why you must bring your peaceful and harmonious energy into it. Then society will become warm and filled with light. You might say the world is so dark and chaotic, but instead of just criticizing it, you are called to bring harmony and peace into it. When you carry this peaceful energy into the world, that's how true warmth and hope can spread in society. Okay, regarding happiness, let's see how our holy teacher, Jigong Living Buddha, said. Okay, the ancients said that there are 3 types of happiness in a person's life. Do you know what these 3 kinds of happiness are? The first kind of happiness is when your parents are still alive and your siblings are well. This joy of happy family bonds brings true happiness. The second kind of happiness is when you have a clear conscience. When you haven't done anything to feel guilty about, anything that goes against your moral integrity. Your heart is open, upright, and honest. You have nothing to fear because you live without fear. You naturally feel happy. Okay? And the third kind of happiness comes from knowing something good, whether it's a good deed or good words, and quickly acting on it. When you see a good person, you're willing to guide them. You're willing to share what you know and teach others. The joy that comes from this is indescribable. When you help someone, when you teach someone something valuable, what that kind of happiness is true fulfilling. So after you have received Tao, I believe all of you have already received Tao, right? And understand that Tao can free you from the cycle of birth and death and lead you back to heaven. You should help your good friends and those destined around you to receive Tao as well. Then continue to guide and support them in learning and cultivating Tao. In doing so, you will experience true happiness because your heart will be filled with spiritual joy. Okay? So before we continue to the next question, I would like to tell a story. A and B lived together for many years. A treated B very well and had cared for B since B was young, providing food, clothing, shelter, and attending to all of B's daily needs. One day, A killed B. Would you say that A committed murder? Now here's the twist. A is a chicken farmer, and B is a chicken. According to the human law, A did not break any law by killing B, right? Am I right? A wouldn't be arrested or imprisoned for this act, right? However, according to the law of karma, taking the life of regardless of its cease, create karma animal for many years. And in his life still results from the perspective of worldly law, A did nothing wrong, right? But from the viewpoint of karmic law, A must still face the consequences of killing a sentient being. This story serves as a reminder for spiritual cultivators, for all of us. It is not enough to abide by human laws. We must also review the laws of heaven and protect all living beings, right? And the scripture says, do not neglect small acts of kindness. Do not commit even small acts of evil. Even a good or bad deed toward a chicken, a duck, or a pig will return to us someday. Okay? So let's move on to the next question. Why should we adopt a vegetarian diet? Does being vegetarian eliminate all karmic debts? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. Okay? Being vegetarian helps cultivate compassion. More importantly, it cuts off negative karma relationships and prevents us from causing more sins. There's a saying, if you eat half a pound of meat, you will owe 8 ounces of return. Disciples, do you wish to end your suffering? If so, you must first cut off ties with these negative affinities. Do not remain entangled with them. If you continue to bind them, so will the disease and suffering. For those who already follow a vegetarian diet, don't assume that just by eating vegetarian, you have no more karma. You must understand that the karmic debts accumulated over the past 60,000 years are still present. Therefore, you must seize this very moment to diligently accumulate merits and virtues and fulfill your vows in order to resolve and be liberated from the sins of these 60,000 years. Don't think after cultivating Tao for many years, you shouldn't still face illness. As long as you sincerely generate a true aspiration, you can repay your karmic debts in this very lifetime and avoid being caught in endless cycles of rebirth within the 6 realms. Okay? Becoming vegetarian is only the starting point of spiritual cultivation, not its final goal. True liberation comes from developing a compassionate heart to end negative karmic ties. Then, making vows to practice and fulfill one's heavenly mission, and resolving to repay past karmic debts and break free from the cycle of rebirth. A true cultivator should seize the present moment, nurture virtue, and persist in doing good. Only then can one eliminate karmic obstacles at the root, transcend the 6 realms of rebirth, and walk the path toward pure, peaceful liberation. Okay? So let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. How can one develop their inner potential? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. People often talk about developing potential, but most of the time, it's very superficial and relies too much on external support. This reflects a lack of true self-confidence. After receiving Tao, we should understand how to develop ourselves from within. Tell yourself, I am capable. Just like when Gautama Buddha was born, he pointed to the sky and the earth, declaring his uniqueness. You too are one of a kind in this universe. Never underestimate yourself. Learn to cherish and make the most of what you already have right now, okay? True potential is developed through recognizing and affirming one's own true nature. A Tao cultivator should believe in themselves and respect themselves, awakening wisdom and strengthened from within, rather than relying on external forces. Seizing the present moment is the key to unlocking one's potential. And regarding potential, let's see how our holy teacher, Jigong Buddha says, okay? Our teacher said, when heaven gives you trials, it's a sign that you have not done well enough. So you should be grateful for the opportunity to be refined and strengthened. If your parents speak to you harshly, be thankful, for they are trying to shape and nurture you. If your supervisors at work is constantly dissatisfied with you and overly critical, do not become discouraged. Be grateful, because they are helping you grow and temper your heart. Remember this. If you go through life with a heart full of gratitude, you will gradually come to understand that a person's potential is immeasurable. Why? Because your potential allows you to embrace everything, to improve continuously, and to rise step by step. So during this life journey, always remember to use this heart to be tolerant, to cherish every moment and everyone around you. Okay? And let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. What does it mean to find stillness in motion? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. It means that you, even when everything around you is in motion or chaos, your heart and mind remain calm and steady. You set a clear direction and a firm aspiration, and with a goal in sight. You continue moving forward without getting sidetracked. Your determination must not waver or change constantly. If it does, reaching your goal becomes much more difficult. Finding stillness in motion means that even when the external environment is chaotic and life is busy, one can still maintain inner peace and clarity, staying focused on one's goals and aspirations. A person who can remain steadfast in the mindset of turmoil, and not be swayed by external distractions is less likely to lose their way and can walk a steady path. Furthermore, if one's direction or aspiration keeps changing, it's easy to become distracted, making it difficult to accomplish any goal in the end. So, true cultivation and growth do not only occur when the outside world is calm, but rather when one can hold firm to inner stability and direction amid life's movement. So finding stillness in motion is the key for Tao cultivator to maintain a steady mind and remain on the righteous path. Okay? And regarding the finding the stillness in motion, let's see how our Holy Teacher Jigme Buddha says, okay? As your teacher, I'd like to give you all a single word, stillness. Because cultivating Tao requires maintaining stillness. Your heart must be calm, composed, quiet, and pure. I often come in a wild and playful manner, making everyone laugh and have fun. Then the crowd gathered. But today I come with a peaceful heart just to speak quietly with you all. And what happened? Everyone disappeared, didn't they? That's human nature. That's the weakness of people. So then why do I act silly and foolish? It's because only when I behave in a crazy, carefree way do people dare to come near me. People love excitement. The human heart is naturally curious. When things seem lively and novel, that's when people finally settle down to watch. If the practice of calmness reaches its highest level, it can likewise lead to a state of transformation. Once you reach that state, your heart will no longer be affected by external circumstances. Do you understand? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. Okay, the great Tao is nameless. Why is it nameless? And let's see how the Buddhas respond. Okay. As stated in the Qin Jin Jin, okay, the scripture classic of purity and tranquility. The great Tao is nameless. It nurtures all things. I do not know its name, so I reluctantly call it Tao. Why is it called Tao if it has no name? The sages of ancient times realized that there is a profound force in the universe, a fundamental truth, a hidden order behind all things. They sense this mysterious presence and its workings, but it was beyond description, beyond what words could express. So they reluctantly give it a name, Tao, simply as a way to refer to it. It was named only out of necessity, not because the name could truly capture its essence. Tao is the supreme truth or force in the universe, something that transcends language and form. It cannot be fully defined or described by any concrete name or concept. The phrase provisionally named Tao indicates that this name is merely a convenient label, a means to help people understand and practice. The idea of namelessness reveals that the nature of Tao is beyond human language and concepts. It is ethereal and boundless. The term Tao is used out of necessity, but we must not become attached to the name or image. Rather, we must strive to truly realize the essence of the Tao. Tao cultivators should follow the heart of sages, recognizing that the Tao cannot be spoken or seen. It can only be realized through deep inner experience. Okay? Let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. What is the purpose of Tao propagation? How can we learn to let go? Let's see how the Buddha answered. Okay? We cultivate and propagate Tao to fulfill our heavenly vows. It is heaven's work we are doing, and heaven is watching. So why should we complain or feel sorry for ourselves? Whatever we do, whether meritorious or mistaken, heaven sees it clearly. Right and wrong need not be argued over. As long as you act with sincerity and a true heart, time will reveal your intentions, and perseverance will show your strength. It's meaningless to boast about how great or capable you are. What matters is whether heaven acknowledges you. When all sentient beings can affirm and recognize your efforts, that is what truly counts. The true purpose of Tao propagation is to fulfill one's vows, to carry out the responsibility entrusted by heaven, and to honor the sacred commitment between oneself and the divine. It is not for personal gain or fame. Since the work is for heaven, one should approach it with reverence and sincerity, without being overly concerned about worldly praise or criticism. Human actions are seen by heaven, and heaven will provide a just and fair judgment. Okay? In the process of fulfilling your vow, remember that this is not for your own benefit. It's for heaven. Tao cultivation is not about fame or personal gain. A true cultivator has nothing to argue about. If you stop comparing, stop competing, then you'll be able to let go. So how can one truly let go? The key lies in a shift of mindset. The purpose of cultivating Tao and fulfilling one's mission is to fulfill a vow, to carry out the commitment made to heaven, not for personal fame or gain. When a person can let go of the desire and recognition and stop calculating personal losses and gains or comparing themselves with others, they can truly attain inner release and peace. Letting go begins with no longer being calculative. A Tao cultivator seeks only to be true to their conscience and to fulfill heaven's will, without concern for others' judgment or worldly success. When we understand that our mission is to fulfill a heavenly vow, not to elevate our own status, we can release the ego and walk the path of cultivation with lightness and freedom. And our holy teacher, Nibbun Buddha, said, to cultivate Tao, you must humble yourself and let go of your identity. Truly lowering your pride isn't easy. It begins with letting go of your attachment to the self, your identity, status, education, family background, and so on. My disciples, just like a towering building begins from the ground up, cultivating and propagating Tao is not dependent on your background, social status, or wealth. It depends on the virtuous roots you've accumulated over countless lifetimes. Always remember, what puts you at risk in this world is not your wealth or your status. It is pride. Never forget the humble benefit, while the arrogant bring harm upon themselves. Okay? And let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. What is the source of motivation for Tao cultivation? Let's see how the Buddha answered. The driving force behind spiritual cultivation lies in one's own continuous self-improvement. Cultivation must rely on oneself. It cannot depend on others, as encouragement from others is limited. Each person must make a heartfelt vow. Only when you make such a vow will you have the motivation to move forward. But what kind of exploration should you make? This requires careful reflection. If you set your sights on ordinary goals, you will achieve ordinary results. If you aim for the path of sages and saints, you will achieve the works of sages and saints. The difference is vast. When your heart has direction and your goal is clear, seize the moment. Do not waste time. In the blink of an eye, life withers and the years do not return. What use is idle talk? The opportunity to transcend the ordinary and attain the sacred is right now. Cherish it, okay? The driving force of spiritual cultivation comes from one's own inner determination to continuously improve, not from external encouragement or reliance on others. Everyone must take the initiative to make a sincere vow. For the nature of that vow directly shapes the outcome of one's cultivation. If one's aspiration is ordinary, one will only achieve worldly results. But if one's aspiration is lofty, there is a chance to attain the fruits of saints and sages. At the same time, we must be reminded that life is short and fleeting. One cannot waste time with idle talk and unfulfilled ideas. Only by seizing the present moment and setting a clear direction can one truly walk the path of transcending the mundane and entering the realm of sacred. The true source of motivation is in spiritual practice, lies in self-inspired resolve and firm aspiration. The height of one's goal determines the depth of one's attainment. Those who cultivate the Tao should aim high, cherish the opportunity, and press forward diligently in order to break free from worldly attachment and advance towards spiritual perfection. Okay? Let's see our Holy Teacher Jigoni Buddha says. What is the most difficult part of the cultivating Tao? The hardest part is being self-motivated and self-disciplined. Being able to hold yourself accountable and consistently practice self-reflection. When one is self-motivated, responsibilities can be fulfilled. When one practices self-reflection and self-awareness, virtues and marriage can be perfected. When mutual respect and trust are upheld, the work of sage can be accomplished. When mutual encouragement is practiced, the state of mind can be elevated. Okay? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. What are the 5 prescriptions for regulating the mind? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. Recognizing one's own force is the clarity pill. Always having a heart of understanding is the harmony pill. Remaining unmoved by worldly desires is the full spirit pill. Holding compassion to relieve suffering and bring joy is the Buddha's palm powder. Realizing the suffering of the world is the carefree powder. It's all about Chinese medicine. Recognizing one's own fault is the clarity pill. To understand one's own shortcoming and start working diligently on that point, the true self, is to clear away inner afflictions. When you correct your flaws, worries will no longer surround you. Always having a heart of understanding is the harmony pill. Always consider others and not be selfish. This is a heart of kindness and understanding. Cultivating the Tao requires this attitude: empathy, consideration, and tolerance. When others are better than you, don't feel jealous or speak harshly. Then your inner energy will flow smoothly. Remaining unmoved by worldly desire is the fourth spirit pill. Worldly desires are countless and can easily sway the heart, influenced by external conditions. The four spirit pill symbolize the four disciplines of body, mind, speech, and action, which also represent the four virtues. When these are aligned, your mind becomes calm and your spirit can be at peace. Holding compassion to relieve suffering and bring joy is the Buddha's palm powder. Always maintain a compassionate heart, helping sentient beings free themselves from suffering and attain happiness, guiding them beyond the cycle of life and death, back to the realm of the eternal truth, means you are doing the work of Buddha. Realizing the suffering of the world is the carefree powder. To realize the impermanence, ignorance of worldly illusions. With this realization, you can awaken others as well. Once awakened, you will live freely, no longer bound by five elements. Okay, according to Chinese philosophy, the five elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, form the fundamental principles that make up the physical body and all phenomena in the material world. All living things and all things in the world are influenced by and interact with the five elements. Once you attain enlightenment, meaning you realize the truth of life, transcend life and death, and see through impermanence, you will no longer cling to the physical body or worldly appearance. For example, just like someone who steps outside a chess ball is no longer bound by the rules of the game. An enlightened person sees through the working of the five elements, utilizing them without being entangled by them. The five elements govern the operation of the body and the external world. Ordinary people are confined by them. But through spiritual cultivation and true enlightenment, one can gain freedom of the heart, remain unbound by external conditions, and achieve a state of true liberation and peace. This topic involves too many concepts from the traditional Chinese medicine and Chinese philosophy, which may be difficult for you to understand. maybe someday we have time that we can discuss more. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Question number 9. How to transform consciousness into wisdom through cultivation? Let's see the answer from the Buddha. On our body, we have the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. When the eyes open, they see beautiful, vibrant, and colorful things, observing all of creation. But don't forget to see the good in people. This means when you see someone virtuous, you strive to be like them. When you see someone flaw, you reflect on yourself. It's like Guanyin Bodhisattva. Where does she observe? She observes her own true nature. You must look both inward and outward. Look inward at your own mind and outward at people of virtue. Then learn from them. The ears are for listening to kind and good words. What about malicious or foul words? When you hear them, you should reflect on yourself. Listening to too much gossip will disturb your heart. So you shouldn't get into arguments. The truth may be harsh to the ear, but good medicine is bitter to the mouth. Do you hear the voice in your own heart? Do you hear the voice of others? When you can hear your own voice, it becomes easy to hear the inner voice of others. Then you understand them, be able to get along, and live together happily and harmoniously. As for the rest, nose, tongue, body, and mind, you can apply this logic to the other senses. Transforming consciousness into wisdom is a vital practice in cultivation. It means converting the sensory input received from the 6 faculties: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, from ordinary discriminative and desire-driven reactions into awareness and true wisdom. This transformation requires inner reflection and external observation, enabling one to transcend sensory attachment and elevate spiritual awareness. Take the nose as, for example. The nose detects sins, naturally distinguish between pleasant and unpleasant smells, which often gives rise to like and dislikes. A cultivator should use this as an opportunity to self-reflection. When encountering a pleasant fragrance, do not become attached. When encountering a foul or odor, do not feel aversion. Both fragrance and stench are conditions arising from causes and conditions, and are impermanent in nature. Reflect further. Where do sin and stench come from? They are the result of various conditions coming together. If one can transform the discriminative awareness of sin into non-attached wisdom, then one is practicing the art of transforming consciousness into wisdom in daily life. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. How should we respond to the phenomenon of the flourishing of myriad religions? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. In today's world, countless religions and teachings are emerging, many filled with mysterious, mystical, and extraordinary claims. However, not everything you see or hear is necessarily true. Being told about your past lives, what good does that do? If you don't cultivate or fulfill your vows, it's still meaningless. Even if someone tells you that you had a glorious past life, what use is that if you don't practice or serve? It changes nothing. On the other hand, if you're told your past life was unfortunate and you become discouraged and give up on cultivation, isn't that even worse? Instead, earnestly study and understand the true principles of the Tao. Diligently work to guide and uplift sentient beings. Wholeheartedly dedicate yourself to service and practice. In the process of cultivating and serving, you will elevate yourself. A broad and open heart enables greater tolerance and compassion. A life of true goodness, beauty, and virtue depends entirely on your own determination and perseverance. So, the right way to respond is not to be swayed by strange phenomena, but to return to the fundamentals of cultivation, seeking deeper understanding of the truth, guiding and uplifting others, and wholeheartedly giving of oneself. Through diligent practice and sincere service, one can elevate their character, broaden their heart, and build a life of truth, goodness, and beauty. True achievement lies in steadfast self-effort and spiritual perseverance, not in relying on mystical forces or indulging in empty philosophy. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 11. What is 觉悟, awakening? How does one awaken? Let's see how the Buddhas respond. Before you find it, you will always be lost in material desires and entangled in worldly matters. But once you receive the Holy Teacher's divine initiation, it is like discovering a path that, whether straight or winding, ultimately leads you back to the true and luminous way. By constantly contemplating this point, you will remain constantly aware and awakened. Without contemplating it, you will never truly awaken or understand, and thus won't know how to walk the path. So how can one become awakened? The key lies in receiving the Holy Teacher's divine initiation. That is the guidance and revelation from a heavenly decree Holy Teacher, along with the clear instruction for spiritual cultivation. Once this is received, it is like finding a path that leads directly to the truth. One must constantly reflect and contemplate upon this divine initiation in practice. This means consistently using the three treasures, visualizing and guarding the heavenly portal. Without this ongoing effort, one will fall back into ignorance and become lost once again. Okay? Let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. What is 观止? Observation and stillness. How do we achieve 止? 观止 is a concept in spiritual practice, often translated as contemplation and succession, or observation and stillness. It refers to a state of being where one's mind is both observant and at rest. Okay, anyway, let's see how the Buddha's answer. 观 is to contemplate your true self and your true master within. Only by doing this can you achieve 止, stillness, abiding peacefully. Without this contemplation, you cannot achieve tranquility or abiding. This means that within stillness, there must be contemplation. Contemplation and stillness are two sides of the same coin. They exist together and are mutually dependent. Now that you have received the enlightenment of our Holy Teacher's initiation, you should diligently engage in cultivation and seeking out virtuous friends. There are many virtuous friends right in front of you. If you ask, they will surely answer. You must steer your mind at all times. Only through this can you achieve a state of calmness and gain something from the practice. If you don't steer your mind, it's difficult to gain anything or become calm. It is within this state of calmness and stillness that you can contemplate and realize your true wisdom. And I have something to explain more. I think the 观止 maybe is difficult. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest to understand. The Chinese character, this 止, is one such example. It's an incredibly simple character, yet it holds a very profound meaning. The Chinese character 止 has several meanings, which can be translated into English as stop, cease, dwell, stay, reach, attend, rest, abide, be settled. Regarding the term 观止, at this point, we must reverse the explanation. Explaining 止 first, then 观, just reverse them. 观止become 止观, as this makes it easier to understand. The term 观止, let us explain it in this way. First, let's explain the 止. Zi means to quiet all external distraction and delusive thoughts, focusing the mind on a specific object. From this state, one gives rise to the true wisdom to observe this object, making the inner mind crystal clear. Guan. Do you understand? First you have the Zi, then you achieve the Guan. Okay, regarding Guan Zi, let's see how our holy teacher Jigong Rinpoche Buddha says. My disciples, don't let the turmoil and instability of the current times shake your heart as well. You must first steady your own steps and practice Zi, abiding. And where should you Zi, abiding? Abide at the place the initiation of holy teacher points to, Heavenly Portal. If you are able to Zi, know where to abide, you will not be in danger. And if you are content, you will not be subjected to humiliation or disgrace. When you know where to abide, you will not encounter danger, okay? Let me see. Okay, due to time constraints, and also out of concern that sharing too much at once might be difficult for every one of you to absorb, I will stop here for today. Now let's move on to the conclusion, okay? I would like to conclude today's sharing with our Holy Teacher's teachings. Our Holy Teacher said life is not about seeking praise, but about the perfect fulfillment of one's existence. Learning is not about pursuing diplomas, but about attaining deep and elevated wisdom. Cultivation is not about accumulating merits, but about purifying and perfecting the soul. Giving is not about expecting return, but about spreading great love throughout the world. Propagation down is not about possessing it, but about guiding all beings back to their origin. Okay, thanks. Thanks for all of you, your
先
attentive
等一下
listening.
啊
是
，OK，thank you the
对，让
lecturing。
我把话讲完好不好？
好，
Thanks for all of you for your attentive listening. May the heavenly joy fill your hearts, and may your Tao cultivation progress steadily. If I made any mistakes in the sharing, I beg God and Buddha's forgiveness, and all the lectures and seniors can give me suggestions and comments. Thank you very much for your listening. Thank you.
thank you the lecturing. After the listening to the lectures, I think you will know the question and answers on Dao cultivation in the new age. I think maybe you have any question now. You can ask the lecturing. Everybody.
All good from our end. Thank you so much, Lecturer Lin.
Is many?
Thank you so much. No questions from us.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody,
Everything is clear. Thank you.
anyone have any questions? Oh, okay. Everyone don't have any the questions that we family let be thank you for the lecturing again.
Thank
谢谢
you.
林讲师。Okay, now we will have the departure the virtual 那个没有，等一下，陈讲师，你这边有什么要布达的吗？
就是我们10月18、19在萨满贝尔的法会，请大家要记得前往。10月18、
Now
贝尔法
we
会。
have the October 90th and 80 and 90th. We have the seminar 在哪里？
Yes,
Sabadell.
we're here in Manila. In Antipolo.
Okay. So and now you already know the message.
Yes, we're aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
那到那个陈讲师这边还有那个要布达的吗？
没有了，谢谢。Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you everybody that joined the lecture and thank you the lecturing. And now we have the a departure the virtual. So everybody please stand up. 那个陈讲师，那我们就直架。我们
好的，
嘿，
先跟仙佛三鞠躬。
Okay, now we will have the three bow to all the heaven, the master, and all the Buddha. To show our respect, the first bow, second bow, third bow, and then make the one more bow to the 白水圣地, and one more bow to the 不休息菩萨. Okay.
恭送佛家。
Now the sending of the Buddha. Make it one bow. Okay, that's all. So the lecture already finished. And thank you all of you that joined the lectures. 那谢谢林讲师。
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Everybody,
Shirley.
thank you.
You
Okay.
October
Thank
16.
you.
谢谢，Thank you.